Ever wonder if technology could, like, reshape, the most intimate parts of being human?
Yeah, like sex.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, what if it could? We're going deep today on how virtual reality is changing intimacy and relationships.
This is way beyond just games and entertainment now.
It really makes you wonder, is VR actually, like, redefining sex in the digital age?
Big question, right?
Huge. We've got research, articles, predictions. It's going to challenge everything you think you know about love, sex, and connection. All that.
All of it.
Yeah.
So maybe first, like, what even is VR sex? For people who,
Okay, so picture this. You put on a VR headset, and suddenly, boom, you're in another world.
not just seeing it, but hearing it too.
Yeah, totally. Sounds, sensations, even touch, simulated touch.
Whoa.
And it feels real, like really real.
So in this world, you can have a partner, right?
Nah.
Is it a real person somewhere else?
Could be. Or could even be like an AI designed to,
Designed to what?
to be exactly what you want.
Huh. So this isn't just watching a screen. It's like you're really there.
100%. You're in it. You can touch, feel, connect. It's crazy, really.
Stuff we couldn't even imagine a few years ago.
I know. And it's a whole industry now, like growing super fast.
People are spending billions on this stuff. Developing things like hyper-realistic avatars and...
What are those?
So basically, they're like digital versions of people, but so real-looking, it's almost freaky.
No way.
And they're haptic suits, too, so you can, like, feel everything.
Whoa, as if being in there wasn't enough.
Right. And then there's AI companions that can, like, learn what you like, and they respond to your emotions, too.
Okay, that is wild. It's like a movie, but it's, like, actually happening now. This has got to be the next sexual revolution, right?
It could be. Or maybe it's already happening. I mean, the VR porn industry is huge, and it's only getting bigger. Some people think by 2030, it'll be worth over $1 billion.
$1 billion.
Yeah.
Damn. There's obviously something to this then.
Yeah, but what is it? What's driving it? Is it just like a novelty? Or is there more to it?
That's a good question.
I think it's probably a bunch of things, honestly.
Like what?
Well, obviously there's the appeal of, exploring fantasies and stuff, things that might be hard or impossible to do in real life.
Makes sense.
But also, there's safety and control. In VR, you control everything. No risk of getting rejected or judged or, anything bad happening.
It's like your own perfect world. Be whoever you want, experience intimacy however you want.
Exactly. It's liberating,
Yeah.
especially for people who feel like shy or different in the real world.
Totally. So not just physical intimacy either.
Nope. VR can create real emotional connections, even with, like, AI.
Right. I was reading about people who form these deep bonds with their AI companions. Like they tell them secrets, rely on them.
And some even grieve when the program, stops working.
It's crazy. Like it makes you wonder where the line is between real and digital.
Totally blurs it. But it also shows how much we need connection. Like deep down, we crave it, no matter what form it takes.
So we have this technology changing how we experience intimacy, breaking all the rules.
It's exciting. It's pushing boundaries.
But it also makes you think, what if it goes too far?
Yeah. Like, what if digital relationships start replacing real ones? What are the risks? All big ethical questions.
Exactly. And those are just some of the things we'll be looking at today. The good, the bad, the complicated, the whole world of VR and intimacy.
Yeah, we're going deep.
We're diving in. Buckle up.
So, this might sound kind of weird, but can digital love actually feel real?
It's a big question. Can pixels and algorithms, actually capture human emotion, that deep stuff?
Think about how you react to a sad movie.
You mean like crying even though you know it's not real?
Yeah. Your brain sees those images, hears the music, and boom, you're feeling it.
So you're saying our brains kind of process virtual experiences and real ones the same way, at least when it comes to emotions.
Exactly. That's why VR intimacy is so powerful. It tricks your brain,
Okay, but does that mean it's the same as real love, even if our brains react similarly?
That's getting into some deep philosophy. Like, what even is intimacy?
Right. It's not just one thing.
Exactly. Is it physical? Is it emotional? It's got to be both, right?
I think so. And the thing is, VR lets us form real bonds, even with, AI. We talked about that earlier.
Right. And not just physical stuff, shared experiences, talking, even just hanging out.
It's crazy.
Think about AI companions.
Those programs, they can, learn about you and talk to you?
Yeah. They're getting so advanced, they can almost seem empathetic.
It's wild. Some people say they feel genuinely loved by their AI. They tell them their deepest thoughts.
And if the program crashes, some people actually grieve.
That's like losing a friend. It
Yeah.
shows you how much we all crave connection.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, if we can have these deep relationships with AI, what does that mean for human connection? The kind we've always known.
And what if those virtual relationships get so good that they're better than real ones?
Right.
Then what? Do we all just isolate ourselves and live in these perfect digital worlds?
It's possible. Human relationships are hard.
Messy, unpredictable.
Yeah. You got to put in the work.
Mm.
But in VR, it's all tailored to you. No arguments, no compromises.
Tempting. But couldn't you also use VR to make real relationships better?
For sure. Think about a couple using VR to relive their first date.
That's cute.
Or long-distance couples using it to be together, even when they're miles apart.
It's like a super-powered version of video chat.
Totally. VR could help us connect more deeply, not less.
That's a good point. I like that. It's about using this tech in the right way.
Exactly. It can either help us connect or help us escape. The choice is ours, really.
So VR intimacy has this weird double side to it.
Definitely. Exciting and scary at the same time. And it makes us ask some tough questions about ourselves.
Like, do we want real connections, even if they're messy? Or are we okay with these perfect digital ones?
Big questions, right? No easy answers.
Mm.
But while we're figuring that out, there's another side to this. The ethical stuff. VR intimacy is new, but it's already raising some red flags.
Yeah, like what? Besides the whole isolation thing we were talking about.
Well, there's the idea of intimacy becoming a commodity.
What does that even mean?
Like, imagine being able to buy the perfect virtual partner, designed exactly how you want them with no risk of rejection.
So love and sex become like products you can buy.
Exactly. That's kind of messed up, isn't it? Like, it cheapens the whole idea of intimacy, and that's not even getting into the exploitation part.
Oh, right. Like, what about those deep fakes we hear about?
It's scary to think about, right? Someone could make a VR version of you without you even knowing.
Using your image for whatever they want, that's a serious violation.
And then there's the whole addiction thing. We're already addicted to our phones, you know?
I know I am.
It's not hard to imagine VR being even more addictive.
It's so immersive.
And like any addiction, it could mess up your life, your relationships, your job, everything.
So this VR thing, it's got a lot of layers.
Definitely. We need to be talking about this stuff now before it goes too far. Like real conversations about the ethics, the risks.
I gotta be careful with this tech, you know?
Absolutely. The choices we make now will determine what happens next.
Okay, so we've talked about the amazing potential, the mind-bending questions, the scary risks.
Mm-hmm.
Now what? Where do we go from here? What does the future of VR and human connection actually look like? So we've talked about all the crazy potential of VR intimacy, the good and the bad, and all the ethical questions it brings up. But where do we go from here? What does the future hold for VR and like just human connection?
It's kind of like we're standing at the edge of a map, you know? Like unexplored territory. Technology is changing so fast, it's hard to keep up.
Right.
But one thing's for sure, VR is going to be a big part of how we connect with each other, how we relate, how we experience intimacy. All of it.
That's exciting, but also kind of scary. What if we end up in a world where everyone's just plugged into these virtual worlds all the time? Like, what if real-life relationships just disappear?
It's a real possibility, yeah. But I don't think it has to be that way. Technology is a tool, right? It's how we use it that matters.
So it's not about, like, rejecting VR completely.
No, not at all. It's about being smart about it, using it in a way that's healthy and balanced.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, imagine a future where VR is used to make real-life relationships even better.
Instead of replacing them.
Exactly. Like, couples could use VR to, you know, spice things up, explore new things together. Or what about couples who are far apart?
Long distance.
Yeah. VR could help them feel closer, even when they can't physically be together.
That's amazing. So it's like using technology to actually bring people closer.
Exactly. And think about all the other possibilities. Like therapy. People could use VR to work through fears or trauma, but in a safe environment.
That's so cool. And education, too. Like, imagine history class in VR. You could literally walk around ancient Rome or something.
I know, right? It's mind-blowing. And as the technology gets better, who knows what we'll be able to do?
The possibilities are endless.
Right.
But let's be real. Not everyone's going to use this tech for good, right?
Yeah.
Some people might prefer these perfect digital relationships to messy real ones.
Yeah, that's the thing about human nature. We like things to be easy, comfortable. And VR can offer that in a way that real life just can't.
So it's a slippery slope. How do we balance all this amazing potential with the risks?
That's the question, isn't it? And it's a tough one. We need to have these conversations,
Yeah.
about ethics, about consent, about how VR affects our mental health, all of it.
It feels like we're kind of making this up as we go along. Like we're exploring this new world, but we don't have a map.
Exactly. It's uncharted territory. But that's also what makes it so exciting.
It's up to us to decide what this future looks like.
100%. The choices we make today will shape everything that comes next.
So what's the takeaway here? What should people be thinking about as we move forward with all this VR stuff?
I think the most important thing is to be aware, to understand the potential, but also the risks, and to have these conversations openly and honestly.
Yeah, like we need to be talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
With our friends, our families, even our lawmakers.
Definitely. This technology is going to impact everyone, so everyone needs to have a say in how it develops.
It's not just about the tech itself. It's about who we are as humans.
Yeah.
What we value, what we want for the future.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, the future of VR and human connection, it's not set in stone. It's something we're creating together right now.
That's a good way to put it. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the wild world of VR and intimacy, I think the biggest question we're left with is, how do we want to use this technology? How do we make sure it serves us and not the other way around?
Big questions. Important ones. And there's no easy answers. But I think the first step is simply to be curious, to explore, to learn, and to talk about it.
To keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you with this. As the lines between the real and the virtual get blurrier and blurrier, the most important connection we have is with ourselves. Our values, our boundaries, what matters to us. Those are the things that will guide us through this new world.
So stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay connected to yourselves and to each other.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That wraps up our deep dive into the world of VR and intimacy. We hope it got you thinking, maybe even a little freaked out, but hopefully in a good way. Until next time, keep exploring.